If you've got a blanket, that's grand. Use your blanket just to sit. And welcome. So my aim is to record the session. It's not going to be a brilliant recording because it's Zoom recording, but it's really the audio that you listen to. So I'll pop the link so people have got it. So welcome. So we're just going to allow ourselves to just come to seated. And I was reading a little bit of Vinyasa Flow, kind of a very well-renowned yoga teacher, yoga guru. He was talking about the body being the tree, and he was putting the breath and yoga and all the different stages of yoga in that context. And he refers to the spine as the trunk, which I thought was quite nice when we're sat, and just so that we're rooted. So just allowing that lift through the spine, allowing the hands just to relax. So whether they're just gently, wherever's comfy really. Allowing the relaxation to extend to our shoulders. And when we're focusing on pranayama, which is the breath, we can just gently soften the gaze and close the eyelids very gently. And he also refers to the breath with three parts of the breath: the inhalation, the retention, and the exhalation. So when we inhale, when we start to bring conscious awareness to our breath, we inhale. And then just at the top of the breath, we just hold that breath just very momentarily, pausing before we exhale. And you can do this with a count. You can do this with a count of 3. Don't hyperventilate. If it doesn't suit you, don't. I think the tracks. That's it. And the yogic breath is very much through the nose, just catching the top of the breath in that ujjayi breath. And then we're just going to allow our muscles to soften a wee bit more, just keeping that spine straight. And then allow the breath just to come to a natural breath. Maybe just tucking the chin to the chest, just stretching down the back of the neck. And then gently opening the eyes, just looking forwards. I'm going to take the hands gently into cactus arms. Again, dropping the chin to the chest if you wish. Lifting all the way forwards and up on an inhale. Back to cactus arms, dropping chin to the chest on an exhale. Inhaling, lifting. Exhaling, cactus arms. Take the right hand across to the left knee, gently into a twist. Breathe here with the breath. Returning back to center. Allowing the left hand to come to the right knee. All the way back to center. We're going to come to a child's pose. So drawing yourself down to the mat. And if you want to just try something different with the hands, bring the index fingers together, bring a little diamond. And then it softens the elbows slightly. Forehead can come to the mat. I'm in a wide child's pose. And then just allow the breath into the whole of the body. So really inhaling, drawing that breath into the back, the torso, and then exhaling, allowing any tension in the body just to melt away. We're going to walk the hands across to one side of the mat, one hand in front of the other. Take a stretch. Stretch down the side body. And breathing into this stretch, you can sometimes get a deeper stretch if you wish. Walking the hands across to the other side of the mat. All the way back to center, bring yourself all the way up. And we're going to keep just one foot sitting just in front of us and extend the opposite leg long. So we're coming into this one-legged Dandasana. You can bend that knee if you wish to. We're going to lift, extend the spine, lengthening the spine on an inhale. And then an exhale, just bringing the hand wherever it's comfy, whether that's to the calf, to the foot. Just taking a moment here. Walk the hands towards you, bring the foot towards you. So bend the knee now and come and sit on that heel. Just to one side, you're into a little sage twist. So bring the arm inside. That's it. And you can take the hand gently behind you, come into the small of the back. Oh, it's lovely having the fresh air coming through. I hope you're not too cold. All the way forwards, unravel. Opposite foot now comes in. Other foot lengthens. Taking a lift up if you wish. And then all the way forwards. Just allow yourself to fold here. Now this foot is on the inside of the leg, and as we draw ourselves back up, it comes across slightly, so we kind of sit on it behind us and draw us into a little sage twist on the opposite side. We're going to draw ourselves gently forwards. We're going to bring ourselves now to tabletop position. So if you've got your blanket, you can still use it just underneath the knees, stacking the knees. And softening the elbows here if you wish. We're just going to gently look forwards, come into cow, extend, arch, engage the core, push into the fronts of the feet as we come into cat. Moving forwards, gently softening into cow. You can tuck the toes if you wish. Rolling back into cow, arching the arching the back. Maybe even bringing the hands across to one side in cat. Exploring what that feels like, and one side and the other. All the way back to center. We're going to extend a leg long behind us so it touches the end of the mat. And I want you to just push. Let's see if we can get some length here. So we're pushing away from the mat. Activate that inner thigh if you can, just by drawing the muscles in the leg, pushing into the heel, engage the core. and look towards the end of your mat. Remember to spread the fingers wide, pushing into the fingers. Lifting that leg behind you, just gently so it's out from the body. Tuck the head so it looks towards the thumbs. And then bending the knee, we're going to take the knee out to the same side elbow. Then that foot's going to come across to the opposite edge of the mat. We're going to look towards that foot so it's crossing. Excellent. All the way back to center. Extend the opposite leg, so you're pushing into the toes and into the heel. Really zip that leg up. And as you zip, you can actually feel the whole of the front body lift. You can actually see it as well. Gaze is long towards the front of the mat. And then lift the leg just out behind you. Really keep that engagement of that front body, really drawing it into the top body. Bend the knee, pull it across to the outside elbow. That's it. Allow it behind you, opposite leg. And allow yourself to look towards that foot. Come all the way back to center. Sweep to traditional balasana and draw the hands gently behind you. You can just take the sole of the foot if you wish in the hands. Conscious of that breath, the prana, the movement of the breath. And then we're going to just rise up, and just to give you a little relief from, being on your wrist, we're going to come to our forearms. Quite a strong practice, this one. So this asana, really spread the fingers. We're going to come up to dolphin. So our forearms are going to be just slightly wider, or as wide as shoulder width. So Christian, make sure your hands, that's it. So the edge of your forearms are in line with your mat. We're going to really push into the forearms here. And then we're going to lift the hips while bending the feet and push into the mat. Now, you might find that you want your hands just slightly narrower. It just depends where it feels good for you. What I want you to do is really push away so you can really feel support. The head doesn't touch the mat. And then if you wish, you can just lift one leg up. You're very welcome to if you want to. Or if it's just too much, you can just come back down again. So it's playing with this movement. Or just allow in dolphin, allow the heels, I'll come this way so you can see it if you need, allow the heels just to soften towards the mat. So you can take this a softer pose as well. Wherever you are, pushing into the forearms, engaging the core. And then you can always play with that lift. So dolphin can be the traditional dolphin, similar to down dog. Then bend your knees and draw yourself back. We're going to come to a little deer pose here. Just swing the feet to one side, take the hands behind you, and just allow the hips just to rise. Looking after the back of the neck. Excuse me. All the way back down, swing the feet one side again, and allow yourself, thumbs facing forwards, just to lift the hips. All the way back down. Coming back to tabletop. Just take a little moment of circling with cat-cow, so we can kind of lift and arch up, whatever suits you, between cat and cow. And then reversing that circle. If you've got a blanket, just start popping it to one side so it's not going to catch you. And we're going to take some time to come up into downward facing dog. So lifting the hips, bending the knees, allowing the hips to rise. And let's just pedal those feet out in downward facing dog. Pushing one heel towards the mat. Don't force it. It's just putting weight into it. Stepping the other up and down. And then allowing yourself just gently to relax in downward facing dog. Taking some breaths. So really think about pushing and spreading the fingers. Allow yourself to bend the knees, to lift the hips a little higher. Excellent. Push that mat away from you and push your torso very slightly towards your legs while pushing the biceps towards each other, the triceps towards each other. So really thinking about those arms coming across. Relax the back of the neck. And then we're going to come forwards to the top of the mat. So you can either sink the hips back, look forwards, hop or step to the top of the mat into Uttanasana. Allow yourself to come to fold in Uttanasana. Keep the weight over the feet. Let's push into the feet. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Pushing into the feet, soften the knees, really draw the core. We're going to sunburst all the way up, hinging at the hips. Allowing hands to the heart, leaving the right foot at the front. We're going to step to Trikonasana, to triangle. So it's a step back. It's not quite as wide as warrior. Perfect. And just take a moment here just to check your stance. We're going to imagine there's a glass wall, a beautiful glass wall behind us. So everything we do with triangle, we're trying to keep our body upright against the glass, but also trying to keep length in the side body here. So sometimes we think about it as the shoulder coming forwards, which then collapses everything. And we try and open the rib cage into Trikonasana. But what I want you to do tonight is think, instead of that kind of opening of the rib cage, I want you to think of extending the length here on the inside. So when we lift up into Trikonasana, we're going to push into our heels. We're going to really engage the inner thigh. And then as we do, we're going to keep that length in the side body. Now, if that means bringing your hand to your hip at the back, absolutely fine. Softening that front knee, that's it, don't overextend that. Excellent. And I can see lots of lovely glass walls. And Corey, you've got a block there. So just pop that block behind your right foot. Love the leggings. That's it. Even if it's on its side, on the tall side. Aha, better. And then push all the way back up. So hands are just either side. Now we're going to turn towards our leg very slightly. Soften that front knee, really push into the heels, and we're going to come forwards, allowing the opposite hand, the foot at the front, to come down. It's the beginnings, bless you. It's the beginnings of a revolved triangle. So it's opposites at the front. Left hand, right foot, or right hand, left foot. Did I say that in the right order? I think I might have done. So, and with revolved triangle, what we're now trying to do is get our weight over the front foot, allowing the opposite hand now to come up. Now, if this is not the pose for you, don't do it. But it's not one that I often do. And I guess that's it. Wow. Wow. I guess it's that kind of spring yoga thing where we all go, right, okay, bring it back into practice. It's quite a, refreshing pose. So now we're going to plant our hands. We're going to take a vinyasa. We're going to step to plank. It's taken me that long to get to plank tonight. Goodness me, but you have snuck a forearm in. So, well, could be. And then either take a full vinyasa here, chaturanga dandasana, so shifting your weight forwards, or you can come to the 8-part vinyasa, which is where the knees come down and we shift forwards. Now, one is not the same as the other, they're different, but they're lovely, both of them. Meeting in downward facing dog, tucking the toes, really bending the knees to allow the hips to come up high and walking yourself into position into downward facing dog. Let's think about those arms. Push the arms towards each other and then feel the shoulders really give you a really good base. Engage the belly. Allow weight into the feet. Moving towards the top of the mat, however you wish, you can jump or hop. We're coming to Uttanasana. Bringing yourself over. So if you're needing to bend your knees in Uttanasana, that's absolutely fine to bring a little softness to the lower back or the hamstrings. If you're here and you find you can actually stretch the hamstrings and just straighten the legs very slightly, you can do. Might be that you have to start and arrive in Uttanasana with bent knees. That's fine. You might have to stay here. That's fine. But you might be able to lengthen them too. Inhaling, we're going to go to Ardha Uttanasana, halfway. Exhale. Really think about your foundation to come into sunburst, pushing through those feet, lifting all the way up. Hands to the heart. Opposite foot now is going to step back to Trikonasana. So it's literally a step back. I've gone quite wide tonight, but really it's not quite as a bigger step as warrior. Again, let's think about that length in the side body here. So we keep the rib cage. So in Trikonasana, we don't want this kind of forwards and then pushing our shoulder back on ourselves. We want to open that rib cage. But while I've done that, I've actually collapsed my side here. So what is all equally as important is lifting up in Trikonasana. Don't lock that front knee. I don't want it back. So you can engage the calf muscle and the quadricep to really protect that knee joint. Allow yourself then that lift in the spine, even if you want to take the hands up, absolutely fine. Push the heels into the mat and then slide down that glass wall, imagining that you've still got length coming over slightly. So you're opening. Lovely. That's grand. You can hover if you wish. Keep the breath. Traditionally, fingers together if the hands are outstretched. Traditionally, the gaze is towards the top hand, but if it's not comfy on the neck, if it pinches at all, just allow a little bit of space between the shoulders. Just draw the hand away. Lift yourself back up. So we're almost in that kind of triangle star pose. We're going to turn towards the front and then play with revolved triangles. So we come forwards. Allow the hand towards the mat. So we're really getting our body weight forwards and towards the leg. If you're here and that's it, that's fine. It's like a pyramid pose here. But then allow yourself to revolve the other way. I'm really impressed. Well done. And Sally, excellent. Soften those front knees. All the way back down. Step into plank. Really draw that top body into the back body, pushing through the heels and allow length. So think about a whole line that is straight from the heels to the crown of the head. And then take a vinyasa of your choice. That might be chaturanga to up dog. It might be 8-part ashtanga vinyasa, meeting in downward facing dog.
And when we come to downward facing dog, just take a moment here, relax that neck, taking the gaze through towards the knees. If you wish, you can, and watch this one, it causes a little bit of an outburst in class occasionally. Just take one forearm down to the mat, take a stretch on that side. Someone knows what to expect now. All the way back up. And try the opposite side, just stretching through one side. All the way back up. Take a moment still in downward facing dog. Bend the knees and step to the center of your mat, bringing the feet all the way together into Uttanasana. Push all the way up. And sunburst if you wish. Hands to the heart. Take a moment here and you're working quite hard. So just observe how you're feeling. Just take a moment, just notice what the breath is doing. Whether the breath is long or short. Whether the breath is hot or cold. And you're very welcome at this point to step across your mat if you wish. We're coming to Goddess just for a moment. So again, that imaginary glass wall. I want you to think of that glass wall behind you, taking the hands out gently to the side, opening the chest, and allowing yourself to sink. So the tailbone comes underneath us. It's totally different to a squat that we would do in gym, where we would push our tailbone back. Keeping the legs where they are, we're going to take the hands lifting on an inhale. Exhale back to Goddess. Inhale, we're going to bring the hands together. And exhale, we're going to sink a little deeper. As if you're now pigeon-toed, we're going to push through our heels, straighten our legs, don't lock, but bring the toes towards each other very gently. Hands are going to come to the hips, again, always softening the knees. We're going to inhale, we're going to come to a wide fold. Inhale, and we're actually going to come halfway. So really push, soften the knees if you need to. And then with our two fingers either side, we're going to take, if you can, them round the big toe and just keeping the legs relatively straight, your weight forwards, allow yourself to push the big toe into the fingers. Keeping a little bend in the elbows now. So you've got like monkey arms here. Relax, bring the hands into the center of the mat. You've got options here. We can just stay in this wee forward fold. Or if you want to, you can bring the forearms down to the mat and just take the hands interlaced. You might get there, you might not. It doesn't matter if you don't. If you don't, use a block in front of you. You might even have a block and you might find that your head touches the ground. Do this on a paddleboard. Use a block, absolutely fine, Ingrid. Remember to use that core, just gently engage that belly. In any forward fold, we're engaging the belly, engaging the muscles in our legs. Gently walk the feet in slightly if you need. Draw the hands to the hips, come up halfway. Really soften the knees, push it into the heels, engage the core. Interlace the fingers behind you and allow yourself to draw the hands behind you and the head falls forward. Remember the breath, pranayama. Maybe working with an ujjayi breath here. Pushing into the heels. Again, we come up by engaging the core, softening, allowing the hands to rise all the way up. Turn the feet gently out, sink back to goddess pose. Hands come to the heart. Push through the heels, straightening the legs, and either heel toe or hop to the center of your mat and come back to the front of the mat. Well done. Allow yourself, if you've got any water, I said this last night in class, I'm at the point where I'm really enjoying my yoga and I could just go for hours. So if you need to take a moment, just allow yourself a wee glass of water. It seems there's so many water bottles in the room. Sally's got a tap at home, she's fine. So we're coming to the front. Actually, I haven't got one either. So coming to the front of your mat. And we're going to play with a flow. This went interestingly earlier. So here we go. Got some vibes. Inhale, lift. Exhale, cactus arms. If you want an extra stretch, you could draw the chin to the chest. Inhale. And there's a real balance, and I said this as well last night, there's a real balance between activation and overstretching. So if you're really overstretching, you can feel the muscles really kind of pulling in a nagging way, so soften. And we're going to fold through the midline into Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, flat back. We're going to draw ourselves to plank, just stretching through, heels to crown. And then we're going to come up to downward facing dog. Just take a moment in downward facing dog. And then anchor the left foot, and we're going to lift the right into tripod. Now we're going to play with a wee bit of a side plank. So we'll have a wee bit of a shuffle with this. This right foot is going to come inside, or actually to the outside of the left foot. Okay, so you're crossing it over. So it's come in front of the left foot to the outside of it. Your right hand is going to come in to the center of the mat, and you're going to come to a little version of a side plank. Now, if you want me to demonstrate that, yay. Absolutely brilliant. So you've got one foot in front of the other. Now, the inner foot, the one closest to the mat, that's your right, your knee's going to come in, and your arm is going to come towards the front of the mat. It's honestly not torture. Then your hands are going to come back. Don't worry. I told you I'd been, and then it's going to come back to tripod. We'll do this a few times. Yep, same side. And then that right foot's going to come and step behind the left foot now and open your version of wild thing. That doesn't need to be a back flip. It could just be that you're on your side with your hip pointing down to the mat and your right hand is towards the front of the mat, or even up if you wish. So you could take it as a side plank variation, or you can flip it right hand, yep, or you could flip it to wild thing. Now, you're now going to step your left foot into position. That right hand comes forward and your right foot comes forward. Yes, into runner's lunge. I know I've lost most people. It's absolutely fine. We're going to do this a few times. Yep, still on the same side. Hand down. You're in runner's lunge. Now going to kill me. I am recording this for you. Step into plank. bring your knees down and take a wee child's pose. You can do that bit. The diamond shaped hand is a lovely thing to do as well, just to rest your forehead. And just take a breath here, just taking a moment. And we're going to do that on the other side. Bring yourself back up. Watching wrists. So with this, I want you to make sure that you're really pressing your hands. So because you can get carried away with the, hopefully I'm not blasting Sally with music. Got carried away with my tunes today. So really push into the fingers when you're doing your kind of playing around, so that you're really pushing into the knuckles here, the fingertips, and what that does, it gives you a clawing action. So that's then spreading the weight across the fingers. We'll try it again on the other side. So we'll work from the downward facing dog. So come to downward facing dog. Now we anchored our left foot last time. So now we're going to lift our left foot. So anchor the right foot and lift your left foot. You're coming into tripod. Bring that left foot inside your right foot, and then it goes to the outside. Okay, you move your hand, your left hand, into the middle of the mat as a next move. You come onto the side of the feet and you're coming into a side plank variation. As you draw the knee in, the right hand comes forwards and over to the front of the mat. Okay, right hand comes down. You move things about, you shift back into tripod with the left foot in the air. That left foot now comes behind you, steps behind us off the mat slightly, either another side plank variation or a version of wild thing. This is where the trick comes. That left hand moves forwards towards the front, reaching out as you step the left foot. Yes, Ingrid got it. All the way forwards. I like throwing a few challenges in. You wait for the next one. Then bring the hands down, step to plank. I think Sally got it too, well done. Knees come down to the mat and then rest in child's pose. Taking a moment with the breath, and then if you rise back up, just sitting back up on your knees, you're very welcome to give the wrists a wee shake, a wobble if there's anything you need to do, just kind of clasping the fingers. Would you like to do that again? I hear you say yes. So now you've got it, it'll be easier because you'll do it slightly more of a flow, okay? If it's too much, you can just watch, laugh, take photos, absolutely fine. No one signed their life away saying that nobody's allowed to take photos. So Jess, if you'd like to, you go. And Corey's doing something really interesting with her hands there, something I've done before as well. So it's like breakdancing move, just softening the wrists. So downward facing dog, and please don't do this if it's too much. Just have a wee moment lifting up to downward facing dog. Anchor the right foot, lift the left. Bring the left foot over inside and to the opposite edge, turning onto the side to side plank. Knee can come in, back to tripod. So you're twisting about a bit. Foot comes behind you, side plank variation or wild thing. Let that hand comes forwards and step forwards. Yes, well done. Bring the hands all the way down to plank. Take a little vinyasa, could be an 8-part vinyasa or chaturanga, meeting in downward facing dog. You're going to anchor the opposite foot now, lifting into tripod. Draw the foot inside the foot and to the other side. Allow yourself to roll now. Side plank variation. Hand comes to the top of the mat, knee comes forwards. Flicking back into tripod, so moving your hands back into tripod. Stepping behind you, allowing yourself an open here. Hand comes forwards on the front of the mat, stepping forwards. Hand comes just to support you. And we're going to step to the top of the mat to Uttanasana. Ardha Uttanasana. All the way back to Uttanasana. Sweep, lift, sunburst, hands to the heart. Well done. So that's a really nice flow to play with. If you wanted to do something at home to music, it's kind of one of those creative flows that you can play around with. We're going to come to the mat and breathe. Yes, did the music just say that? So what we're going to do, I've got lots of time, it's fine. I've got some other stuff I wanted to do as well. We're going to look at this reverse plank, because reverse plank is when we really ground the feet to the mat, okay? And it's a difficult pose for some. I'm just giving you a rest while I show you as well. So if you want to give wrists a shake or anything like that, you can. So there's a couple of ways of getting into this. If it's not for you, you can do a little reverse tabletop. The reverse tabletop, lifting the hips. Okay, so we're bringing ourselves knees in line with the hip points. I'm looking after the neck. And I've just come into little reverse tabletop. If you want to try the reverse plank, we want to press the soles of the feet. We want the legs straight when we're in this pose. We want to press through the arms. We want to press the pelvis and the sternum up, and then retract the shoulders gently. And the gaze is towards the nose. Okay, now you'll see my right ankle doesn't like this anyway, but it's good for me to practice it. So that's one way of getting into it. The second way of getting into it is start with the feet on the ground. If you start with the feet on the ground, you're going to need to take your hands quite a bit back. Okay, so watch shoulders. This allows you to then lift and straighten the legs. Now, if I was doing assists round in the class, what I would do is I would come around the class, I would put my foot on top of the front of your feet. So Jess, if that was your foot, I would stamp on your foot and I would lift you forwards. I would lift your hips up and then draw them forward slightly to allow you to lift up. If I was doing assists, but not at that point yet. I think for COVID things, we'll maybe get to that maybe later this year, I hope. So you need to think of someone pushing your feet into the ground. If you've got any ankle injuries, it's either going to be good or bad for you. So, and if you've got any wrist injuries, we've done quite a bit on the wrist. So you could just take a moment here. Fingers forwards, yes. If it's really not for you tonight, you can just come and laugh, bring your forearms down, watch everybody chuckle. You don't have to, you could do tabletop as well. But it's that grounding of the soles of the feet. So working out, quite a tricky pose. If it's too much on the shoulders, just take a moment in seated, just allow yourself. It's just interesting to try it. Yeah, so lift the hips up and push them forwards. If it gets too much on the shoulder, yes, Jess, I would have come and helped you and then helped you with your hips. That's it. It's not a pose that we do very often. How are you doing with that, Amanda? How's Sally doing? She's okay. I can't come to and grab her hips and push her toes. Yeah, so it's lifting the hips up, the pelvis up, and the sternum, retracting the shoulders very slightly. Pardon? Yeah, lifting the hips up and then allowing length. That's it. Brilliant, Lucy. Really think about those feet, the soles of the feet. That's it. Even turn them in. So the other bit we need to do is lengthen the legs and engage the legs all the way through the thighs. So just draw them in. So we're going to take a counter pose. So we're going to come all the way to our knees. And we're just literally going to sink into a child's pose here and allow the hands just to be soft. So bring the head just down again. Take a moment. Just allow the breath. And then draw an arch. I always use this kind of point at which just to arch the back away from like a cat and then come to the center of the mat. And then draw yourself all the way up to standing. And going to give you, it's not a yoga pose. It's called Wild Warrior. Bless you. So we're going to play with Warrior 3. Some of you have got blocks. I've left mine in the car. It doesn't matter because you're not going to be wanting me to stand on your block. So if you have a block, you can do this. And if not, it doesn't matter. So we're going to come to Warrior 3. So hands can come to the heart. We find that balance in that standing leg and allow the front body to act as a bit of a pendulum. So you're finding weight, that kind of even weight, pushing through the heel, toes down towards the yoga mat. Okay. And then we're going to play with a little side kick. So in Warrior 3, bend the knee and draw it across to the side. And then all the way back again. So if you need to know what I'm doing, so I'm just working on my balance on Warrior 3. And then I'm just opening that hip. It's quite tricky. Oh, it's harder on one side. It's really good for thinking about our balance. Back into Warrior 3. All the way down to the mat. Yes, use a block if you need. And then, it's not on the yoga menu either, but we're going to play with Diving Warrior. You okay there, Vicky? Sure, okay. Sit down if you need. So we're going to play Warrior 3 and get your Warrior 3 balanced. And then see if you can bend the knee and draw your warrior down at the front on the same side. Swapping if you wish. If it's turning you upside down, do swap to the other side and play on the other side as well. Really thinking about different muscles. Playing. If it's too much for your head, Vicky, because you're turning yourself upside slightly, so just watch that. Take a moment just standing. And if that's, Vicky, if you're just thinking, just bring yourself, your focus back up by just taking the leg. Just The other one you can try, which I can't demonstrate, such a shame, is if you have a yoga block, you can stand on your yoga block and do a warrior 3. Yep, go on the yoga block. The hamster's been at your yoga block. And then you can play with your balance on a yoga block as well. How's that feel, Ingrid? Does it? Interesting. Well, it might actually be in our case the floorboards. Is it? Giving your hip space. Oh, now there's a photo opportunity. Possibly it's giving you lots of space on your hip. It's one of the hardest poses. No broken ankles, please, because I really don't. I know I did my first aid course, but and then come all the way back to center. That's brilliant, Lucy. How's that feeling? Are you okay? You're getting the tipping point. It's a really hard pose. Hands together is just to help support you. Yeah. Yeah. But you can take airplane arms on this pose, or you can take the hands outstretched as well if you want in warrior 3. Just watch, Ingrid, if you're you're putting a lot of pressure, bringing the arms up behind you. So it might be that the arms are just slightly lower rather than lifting them up, because then I can feel that. That's it. Are you okay, Mrs.? Yeah. And then I've told you I've gone way over. And then I think I'm going to bring you all back to center. We're going to come down to Malasana, and we're going to play in Malasana here. So we're just going to ease the legs here, just back and forwards. You're right there, Amanda. And if you want to, you can come into Malasana. If your feet go down, that's absolutely fine. If they don't, that's absolutely fine. If you have a crow practice, you're very welcome. We've done quite a bit on wrists, but you're very welcome to have a wee fly if you wish. If not, placing the hands gently onto the mat, we're going to lift the hips up and come onto a little perch. And that perch, what we need to do is find a point where the back of the arms and the knees touch, and get those knees as high as you can. Sometimes, well done, Vicky. Sometimes to the outside. You might want to lift a toe. You might want to lift another toe and come up into an arm balance. Maybe just playing with that lifting of the toe and seeing what it feels like. And then into crow, yay! Watch you don't face plant. So Lucy, the legs are going outside the arms. So that's it. So now kind of come up to tiptoes and see if you can squash the back of the arms into the side of the knees. Try not to put the knees into the back of the arms, but everyone's body is different. Well done, Jess. Okay. And then it's tilting, it's pushing away from the mat, it's engaging the core, looking just forwards, and then you get that balance point where you can play with it. And then I'm gonna, well done, Vicky. Excellent. And then we're going to come all the way to our backs. Well done. Because I've worked you this session, sorry. You can have extra pizza this weekend, Ingrid. All the way down. And I'm going to just get you just to allow the spine to just do its own thing, to curve. I'm going to take the music right down now. So you can come to constructive rest pose if you wish, or you can straighten the legs out, whatever's comfy for you. And just allow yourself just some space here to settle the spine. And we're going to bring the knees just gently into the body. And just gently rocking if you wish, or circling the knees. Or even just hugging them into the body. And just allow yourself whatever movement suits you. So if it is that you want to come into Purvottanasana, which is that reclined kind of bound pose, butterfly pose, you're very welcome. If it's bringing one knee and stretching one leg out, and that is just the best thing, take that movement. If it is playing with the knee kind of coming in, windshield wipering and a supine twist. So it's about knowing the movements when we come through into relaxation of what's good for your body. And that changes with where we are, what we've done in the day, our practice. And then come back to that resting pose where the feet are as wide as the yoga mat, the knees are together. And just allow yourself a moment here. And we're going to come to a relaxation in a minute. So if you have a blanket, cushions, socks, allow yourself just to be cozy. I didn't even get to the other page of flows tonight. I could do that next week. And just wherever you are, just allow yourself space and time to settle. Coming back, as we did right at the beginning, to allowing the muscles to soften. Just allow the natural breath. And again, just notice how the breath feels. Don't change it, just go with it. Whether that breath is short or long, where it's starting from. And then just consciously allow the body to feel heavy.
Just becoming aware of the contact points on the mat. And then coming back to that description from, it's actually Light on Pranayama is the book, Vinyasa Flow, about the breath being of 3 parts, with the inhale and the exhale being similar length. Just at the top of that breath, just retain the breath just for a moment. Maybe counting to 3 on the inhale and the exhale might help. And if it doesn't feel right, just allow the breath just to rise and fall. And then just bring the breath back to a natural breath. The inhale and the exhale. And then allow your mind to just allow the sounds beyond the yoga mat, just to listen to them. You might feel the air, the coolness of the air above you. Bringing that awareness back to your breath. And then very gently bring the awareness to your fingers by gently moving them. Bringing the awareness to your toes by giving them a wee wiggle. And then very slowly, and only when you're ready, moving onto your right hand side. And just staying there momentarily. Just giving yourself a moment here. Before bringing yourself very slowly and mindfully back up to seated. And bringing the hands to the heart, just taking a moment here. Just feel that connection of the right and the left hand side. Taking an inhale, an exhale. And thank you very much for joining class tonight. Do not rush. Take as much time as you need.